Hello, so I've just come across an interesting discussion, um, and it's related to a Daily Mail article from 2012, so that's 4 or 5 years ago now. And I don't really know the current situation, but nevertheless, it's an interesting discussion topic, and that is about parental rights and responsibilities. Now, I should put a caveat to this: I am not a parent. Okay, so I can't claim to know this from a first-hand perspective in any sense of the word. Um, I I'm an uncle, and I've sort of been around young children, and I know the joy they can bring. So I can imagine how much of a divisive issue this can become for parents um, in divorce proceedings. Anyway, like I said, the article's from 2012. I'm just going to read out a little bit of it. And basically, it's proposing that women who use children to get back at partners could face a prospect of jail. And it says that there's proposals to overturn. Well, this is what it says. Children's Minister Tim Loughton will announce that the government is to rewrite the 1989 Children Act, which states that the child comes first in law courts in the UK. Campaigners for fathers' rights complain that the courts repeatedly pander to the notion that mothers are more important than fathers. The government will consult on how the law should be changed, but its preferred option is for courts to be required to work on the presumption that a child's welfare is likely to be furthered through a safe environment with both parents. I'm not going to read out the whole article. I'll try and put a link if I can. But I just want to share some of my thoughts on this. Interestingly, the article kind of divided opinion along gender lines because the women in the group tended to support the kind of, let's say, pro-woman argument that there are selfish men who are irresponsible and they won't pay child maintenance, for instance. And the men in the group tended to favour the line that men are treated are given a raw deal by the courts, which are biased towards women. I think it's probably a bit of both, in all honesty. I think it is refreshing to see that because there's very, very, very little discussion in this country about issues that disproportionately impact men, or at least are perceived to. So, if there were proposals, now I don't know if they got enacted or not. That's something I would need to look into. But at the very least, it's good that it's being discussed because the fact of the matter is there are selfish, callous women who use their children as a kind of pawn against their ex-partners because they're bitter and they just want revenge. And I think that's one of the most despicable things to do. It's cruel towards the man, but it's also, and this is probably more important, cruel towards the children because it's denying them the right to see their father. Now, I do understand the argument that women make that there are selfish men that expect a woman to do the bulk of the work, and being a parent is no easy task. Being a mother is no easy task. I fully appreciate that. And clearly, it isn't fair if, it's taken two to tango, two people to have a child, but only the mother is facing all the pressure from bringing that child up. That's clearly not right. And it's not right if the father is refusing to pay maintenance. I agree he should probably be prosecuted for that. But what I would also propose is that there are women who are selfish and there are good fathers out there who are not getting equal access. I believe in 50-50 access. I don't see that why that would be controversial, provided that both parents are showing they genuinely care for the children and it's not just like playing games against each other. Then I do believe in 50-50 access. Um, I do think that we live in a somewhat matriarchal culture whereby the role of fathers has been mitigated. And I think that's something that needs to be challenged because, on one hand, respective governments have kind of been targeting lousy fathers. And okay, you can understand some of the reasoning behind that, but the side effect of that is ignoring those good fathers who have actually got quite a raw deal from bitter ex partners. In my opinion, the court system is overall largely biased in favour of women, not in every single case, but there's definitely a strong perception in this country that when it comes to justice, women get more than men. Not in every case, there's other areas. For example, arguably in rape cases, there's not enough convictions. But surely the principle here has to be about basic fairness and putting the children first. That seems logical to me. This isn't in every case, of course. We shouldn't exaggerate. There's many people end up getting divorced, but they still maintain good relations for the sake of the children, and there's no major issues. Sometimes they just work out a situation where one parent perhaps has more time because they're not in an office job, if I could put it that way. But I do believe parenting is a major job in itself, and I have enormous respect, by the way, for parents. Um, but it's just unfortunate that this issue becomes so divisive. And I think the reason why Fathers for Justice developed as an organisation is because of the very strong perception that family courts are biased towards women. Um, and the fact of the matter is, if certain feminist campaigners had their way, this wouldn't even be discussed. So it's good that ministers were discussing that. That was a Conservative government. It was under the Cameron administration. I'm not sure what has changed since then, if anything's changed for the better. Um, Clearly, there might be some cases where there's a good reason for fathers being kept away. Maybe if they've been involved in domestic violence or something like that. But frankly, there's also bad mothers out there, and it should be the same standards exactly. So there should be some cases where the father is a better custodian. I think this has to be on a case by case basis, and at the heart of it must be the children. That seems logical. But I would be inclined to believe that the male side of the argument has been overlooked for too long. Um, because sometimes Fathers for Justice is portrayed as a bunch of angry men who just want rights but not responsibility. I think that's unfair because I think a lot of the men involved in Fathers for Justice are good fathers. I'm not going to say all of them because I don't know. There might be, certain guys who are latching on to that because they want the rights but not the responsibilities. But it works both ways, equal responsibility, but I would argue equal access as well. It is perverse to me that a father is held back from seeing his own children. And frankly, there are too many women out there. I'm not saying everyone, I'm not generalizing, but there are too many women who have the mentality, my child, not our child. And that mentality needs to be challenged because fathers are not disposable, they shouldn't be disposable. By the same token, fathers shouldn't see women as just being like, putting all the pressure on them, which isn't fair either. So let me know your thoughts. I'm not speaking from personal experience, and the purpose of this video is simply to discuss the issues. It's not to claim that I have any sort of first-hand experience. So I'm not trying to offend anyone. If you've been through this, I'd be interested in hearing your perspective, and I'll be respectful to everyone. I'll respect your opinion. Um, However, if you're going to generalize all fathers or all mothers, then that isn't going to be very constructive. So let me know your thoughts, especially if you've been through this experience. Feel free to share what your experience is if you want to, of the family courts. Are you a father? Do you think there is an institutional bias? What's your own experience? Or maybe you're a mother and you find that your partner put all the pressure on you. So let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching.